Every word that leaves your mouth carries power, and when spoken in faith, it begins to shape the atmosphere around you. The air you breathe, the peace in your room, the thoughts in your mind, all of them respond to the sound of your voice. When you speak faith, faith begins to echo through the unseen world. When you declare peace, peace begins to move through the walls of your home. The spiritual atmosphere you live in is not determined by chance. It is designed by your declarations. Before you sleep, the moment you release a word, heaven records it, and creation begins to align with what you have spoken. There are invisible vibrations created by every word you speak. When you speak fear, the air grows heavy and your spirit feels burdened. But when you speak words of life, hope, and confidence, the atmosphere lifts and light fills the room. This is why the last words of your day are so important. Before your eyes close, your final declarations write the script for the peace or turmoil you will experience through the night. Your atmosphere listens. It takes shape from the power of your speech. That is why even the smallest words of faith can command a great calm in the middle of chaos. Every day brings battles, distractions, and moments of doubt. But when the night comes, the tongue becomes the key that locks out negativity and opens the door to serenity. You can take control of the atmosphere by speaking words that invite divine presence. When you say, peace, dwell here, peace begins to settle like a soft cloud. When you say, light of heaven, fill my room, darkness has no choice but to flee. Your mouth is not just for communication, it is for creation. The life around you responds to what comes out of you. There is an invisible authority inside every word that leaves your lips when you speak in alignment with divine truth. You were not created to be controlled by circumstances, but to command them through your speech. When you stand firm and declare good things before sleep, your room becomes a space where the divine dwells. The environment begins to change, anxiety softens, fear fades. A holy calm enters, and your heart begins to rest in a peace that surpasses understanding. The atmosphere is no longer heavy with worry. It becomes filled with assurance. Many people underestimate the power of nighttime decorations. They rush to bed, carrying the burdens of the day, replaying negative thoughts, unaware that their silence allows the atmosphere to remain unchanged. But when you open your mouth and speak intentionally, everything shifts. The energy in your home transforms. The air feels lighter. The presence of peace becomes tangible. This is not imagination. It is the spiritual law of words in action. Words are invisible architects shaping the environment you live in. When you speak faith, the unseen realm stirs in response. Angels listen, and the forces of darkness retreat. The moment you begin to speak life into the night, you release a divine current that washes through your space. You are not simply talking into the air. You are giving instruction to the spiritual atmosphere. The same breath that God used to create the universe lives in you. When you speak, creation listens. When you command peace, the spirit of peace manifests. When you declare victory, the atmosphere shifts to make room for triumph. Even your thoughts begin to obey your words. When you tell your mind, be still, it listens. When you tell your soul, rest in faith, it begins to quiet down. You are training the unseen realm to align with what you believe. Your environment is a mirror of your declarations. If you want to wake up to peace, you must speak peace. If you want to rise into strength, you must speak strength. Every word you say before sleep becomes a seed that will grow by morning. There is a rhythm between your words and your reality. As you release faith, the atmosphere synchronizes with it. The heaviness of the day breaks. The confusion of the mind clears. The tension in your heart dissolves. Your words are not powerless. They carry divine energy. They carry the same creative force that spoke stars into existence. So when you declare, "Tonight, my home is filled with light," the light begins to move even before you close your eyes. The reason your words have such power is because you were created in the image of the One who spoke and it came to be. This means your speech is sacred, your voice carries weight, and your declarations are not empty. They are the foundation of the atmosphere you live in. When you begin to understand this, you will never again a day without shaping your night through your words. You will realize that peace is not something you wait for. It's something you declare into existence. So before you rest, let your words go before you and prepare the ground for peace. Speak to the air and fill it with faith. Speak to the silence and fill it with strength. Speak to your soul and fill it with calm. Let your words travel into the unseen and set everything in divine order. The atmosphere will not resist you. It will respond to you. The world around you is waiting for your voice to lead it into peace. And every declaration you make tonight will echo into your tomorrow. Prayer is more than a moment of speech. It is a movement of power that reshapes the unseen world around you. When you pray before sleep, you are not merely speaking into silence. You are releasing divine authority into your atmosphere. Prayer is not a routine act of tradition. It is a spiritual weapon that pushes back darkness, calls forth peace, and invites heaven to work on your behalf. The atmosphere begins to respond the moment you speak. The air carries your words like a signal to the invisible realms, and everything that does not align with peace begins to move out of the way. Prayer is the invisible hand that turns chaos into calm, confusion into clarity, and fear into faith. When you kneel down before resting, your words reach further than you can imagine. They rise like smoke, filling the space with light and protection. Prayer becomes a wall of defense around your mind and your home. Even when you cannot see it, your prayer is building a fortress of peace that surrounds you through the night. This is not about eloquence or long speeches. It's about the heart that believes what it says. When faith is present, even a whisper can shake the heavens. Prayer transforms your surroundings not by volume, but by conviction. There are nights when the weight of the day feels too heavy to carry, when your thoughts are loud and peace seems far away. That is when prayer becomes the bridge between your burden and your breakthrough. Every word you utter in faith lifts something off your shoulders. It releases the tension that has been building inside your spirit. You may not notice it immediately, but the atmosphere begins to shift. You feel lighter. the heaviness slowly fades. It's because prayer has the power to cleanse the air, to remove invisible clouds of worry, and to make space for serenity. Prayer is not limited by distance or time. The words you speak before you sleep continue to travel while you rest. They move through the night like gentle waves, touching everything connected to you. Prayer releases assignments into the atmosphere, assignments of peace, protection, and healing. While your body sleeps, your prayer continues to work. It guards your dreams, calms your spirit, and prepares your morning. There is no other force on earth that works so silently yet so powerfully. Prayer transforms without noise. It changes the unseen so that when you wake, the seen world feels different. When you pray before sleep, you declare your trust. You hand over the worries that tried to dominate your day. You surrender the control you were never meant to carry. This act of letting go opens the heavens above you. The moment you release your burdens in prayer, divine strength begins to flow back into you. It's as if the universe takes a deep breath with you, exhaling peace and inhaling chaos. Prayer becomes a sacred exchange. The weight of your fear is traded for the presence of peace. And as this exchange happens, the air around you begins to feel lighter, the silence feels softer, and the darkness loses its grip. Prayer is the language of the soul. When words fail, your spirit still knows how to speak. Even a silent prayer, whispered from a weary heart, can carry more power than 1,000 spoken words. Heaven listens to sincerity, not performance. When you speak from the depths of your being, the atmosphere responds with tenderness. Every tear becomes a message. Every sigh becomes a signal. The act of prayer fills the air with divine energy that cannot be ignored. It changes not only your environment, but your inner posture. It aligns your emotions with hope and your heart with faith. There is something powerful about ending your day with prayer instead of worry. It is the final statement that says, I trust more than I fear. This declaration shifts the balance of your atmosphere. Where there was anxiety, peace takes over. Where there was doubt, assurance begins to rise. The moment you say those words of trust, something in the unseen begins to bow in surrender. You may not hear it, but your prayer is commanding stillness in places where chaos tried to live. It is sealing your home with a presence that brings calm to every corner. When you pray, you are not begging for peace, you are releasing it. You are reminding the atmosphere who is in control. You are declaring that divine presence fills your space. The air around you becomes charged with spiritual energy. It becomes impossible for negativity to linger. The very molecules seem to hum with calm and light. Even your body feels it. Your heartbeat slows, your breathing deepens, and your mind begins to settle. Prayer changes the rhythm of your being. It aligns everything in and around you with harmony. Prayer before sleep also repairs the soul. Throughout the day, your spirit absorbs emotions, tensions, and fragments of the world's noise. Prayer washes all of that away. It clears the clutter of your thoughts and resets your inner peace. It's like opening the windows of your heart and letting the fresh air of heaven flow in. Every word of faith pushes out the stale energy of worry. The space around you begins to glow with stillness. You can almost feel the invisible shift. The transformation from chaos to calm, from heaviness to peace, from fear to faith. The reason prayer transforms the atmosphere so powerfully is because it invites divine presence to dwell in your space. When you call on heaven before you sleep, the spiritual air begins to fill with peace, and unseen helpers are dispatched to guard your rest. You are never praying alone. Every word you speak in faith activates the forces of heaven to move on your behalf. And as that happens, your atmosphere becomes sacred ground, your bed becomes an altar of trust, and your night becomes a moment of quiet victory. When your body begins to grow tired and your eyes feel heavy, your spirit does not sleep. It stays awake, alert, and active in a realm beyond what you can see. The words you speak before you close your eyes are not lost in the silence. They become the instructions your spirit follows through the night. If you speak fear, your spirit will wrestle with unease. But if you speak faith, peace will surround you like a soft blanket. The spiritual part of you is always listening, always responding, and always creating according to what you say. Your words set the direction for your dreams, your rest, and even your awakening. There are many who go to bed burdened, repeating the events of the day in their mind, unaware that their spirit is absorbing every word, every emotion, every thought. But when you decide to end your day in prayer, speaking light instead of darkness, your spirit aligns with heaven's rhythm. You begin to rest not in worry, but in worship. Your inner being finds stillness because it knows that your words have invited divine presence to take control. When you say, peace, be still, your spirit receives that command and carries it through the night like a melody that never fades. Your words before sleep are like seeds planted in the soil of your soul. As you rest, they grow. They take root in your subconscious and bear fruit in your attitude, your mindset, and your peace. A heart that speaks faith will wake up refreshed because the Spirit spent the night in agreement with divine truth. But a heart that ends the day in fear will wake up weary because the Spirit has been wrestling with anxiety. The atmosphere of your dreams is determined by the confessions of your mouth. What you release in faith returns to you in strength. This is why it matters what you say before you close your eyes. Your spirit is not passive, it is powerful. It carries your declarations into the unseen world. Every word you speak in faith becomes a message your spirit delivers to the divine. Every word of gratitude becomes a note of harmony that fills your inner world with peace. Even when you cannot physically pray long, a few sincere words of faith can set your spirit free to rest in safety. Your body might need rest, but your spirit needs nourishment, and prayer is its food. When you speak faith, you are giving your spirit the material it needs to build a night of peace. Your declarations become bricks of light, forming walls around your rest. Your spirit begins to construct an atmosphere of calm that surrounds you, making it impossible for fear to enter. The night becomes a holy space, and the darkness loses its power. The more consistent you are with speaking faith before sleep, the stronger your spirit becomes. It learns to rise above the noise of worry and to rest in divine assurance. Even in your dreams, your spirit continues the conversation that began with your words. If your last thoughts were filled with fear, your dreams may echo that chaos. But if your final words were filled with gratitude, your dreams become messages of comfort and vision. Your spirit listens to you more than anyone else does. That is why you must speak to it with care, with hope, and with strength. When you whisper words of peace before sleep, they echo within you through the night, guiding your spirit toward rest and renewal. There is a mystery in how the spirit moves while the body sleeps. It listens to the last sound of your faith and carries it through unseen realms. It receives strength from your declarations and sends it back to you when you wake. Many awaken with clarity, with answers, or with renewed peace, not realizing that their spirit worked through the night under the guidance of their prayer. This is the quiet power of what happens when your last words are spoken in faith. The unseen continues to work even when you are unaware. Your spirit does not sleep because divine presence never sleeps. It remains alert, guarding the peace you invited before you rested. It listens for threats of fear and counters them with the truth you declared. When you say, "I am safe, I am covered, I am loved," your spirit repeats it again and again through the night until every trace of worry fades away. The stillness that fills the room is not emptiness. It is your spirit at work, maintaining the atmosphere you created with your faith. Every person has the power to train their spirit through their words. The more you speak faith before sleep, the more your spirit learns to operate from a place of trust instead of tension. Over time, your nights become lighter, your mornings brighter, and your days more centered. Your spirit becomes familiar with peace and resistant to fear. It learns to rest in the rhythm of divine presence, and that rhythm begins to echo in your daily life. The transformation starts not in the morning, but in the quiet moments before you close your eyes. So when you prepare to rest, remember that your spirit is listening. It is waiting for your direction. Speak gently, but with authority. Tell it what to focus on, what to let go of, and what to believe. Your spirit will carry those instructions through the night, ensuring that while your body rests, your faith continues to move. Every night can become a night of renewal when your last words are words of light, faith, and peace. Faith-filled words carry a frequency that fear cannot stand against. When you speak with belief, the atmosphere begins to vibrate with energy that shifts everything around you. Fear is loud and demanding, but faith is steady and commanding. The moment you open your mouth and speak confidence instead of worry, your surroundings begin to adjust. The air feels lighter, the tension eases, and peace begins to move like a soft wind through the room. Your faith does not just stay inside you. It spills out into your environment, influencing every corner, every sound, and every thought that lingers in the air. The battle between fear and faith often begins in the mind, but ends in the atmosphere. When anxiety speaks, it tries to dominate the silence. But when you choose to fill that silence with faith-filled words, fear loses its grip. The power of speech was never meant to describe the problem. It was meant to declare the promise. When you say, I am not afraid, the walls of fear begin to crack. When you say, peace surrounds me, the storm in your mind begins to still. Every declaration of faith builds a shield around you, creating a sanctuary where worry cannot enter. Every thought you have sends out energy, and your words magnify it. If your thoughts are uncertain, but your words are filled with trust, your atmosphere begins to obey your spoken truth. This is the reason why what you say carries more weight than what you feel. Your emotions may tremble, but your words can stabilize them. The sound of faith is stronger than the whisper of fear. As you speak life, a confidence begins to rise within you, and the energy in the room shifts from heaviness to hope. Even your body begins to respond. The heartbeat steadies, the breath slows, and your mind becomes quiet. Fear thrives in silence, but faith flourishes in sound. When you speak faith aloud, you are not only reminding yourself of what you believe, you are announcing to every spiritual power that peace has authority in your space. Your words command the unseen forces to take their positions. When you say, I will not be shaken, you are not simply encouraging yourself, you are enforcing a law of peace over your life. The spiritual world recognizes the language of faith and must respond to it. Every word becomes a decree, and every decree shapes your atmosphere into harmony. It is impossible to speak words of faith and remain in fear at the same time. One will always silence the other. The more you speak faith, the smaller fear becomes. Each declaration pushes fear further away, clearing the air of its residue. Fear cannot breathe in a space filled with gratitude and trust. So when you declare, I am safe, I am guided, I am surrounded by peace, you are cleansing the atmosphere of doubt. The invisible begins to align with your conviction, and the peace of heaven begins to dwell tangibly around you. The energy that your words release lingers in the space long after you speak them. Faith-filled words do not vanish. They hover, protecting, healing, and strengthening. That is why when you enter a peaceful room, you can often feel the prayers that have been spoken there. Words leave imprints, and faith leaves fragrance. When your words are full of belief, your room becomes filled with the residue of divine assurance. Even in moments of silence, the faith you spoke continues to echo, keeping the air charged with light and serenity. There is a reason fear often strikes at night. It seeks a quiet atmosphere to plant seeds of worry. But when you fill that silence with words of faith, the night becomes powerless. The darkness cannot survive where light has been spoken. The act of saying, peace, rest here, or my mind is still, becomes an act of spiritual warfare. You may not see the battle, but you will feel the victory. The energy shifts, and your spirit begins to relax into calm assurance. The more you speak faith at night, the more you will wake up to peace in the morning. Faith-filled words also create alignment between your spirit and your surroundings. Your inner peace starts to harmonize with the external world. The birds outside seem softer. The air feels warmer. The silence feels alive. What was once just a quiet room becomes a sacred space. Faith draws divine presence like a magnet. The more you speak it, the stronger that presence becomes. Every phrase of trust invites the unseen to manifest in the visible. Your room becomes filled with spiritual warmth, a stillness that is not empty, but alive with peace. The greatest transformation happens when you begin to believe what you say. Speaking faith is powerful, but believing it multiplies its effect. When your words and your heart agree, the atmosphere shifts instantly. You can feel it. The change is tangible. It's as though your words reach into the unseen and rearrange it to match your faith. Fear has no footing in such an environment. Every breath becomes a declaration. Every heartbeat a reminder that you are surrounded by divine protection. Your faith begins to take up space, pushing everything else aside. As you continue to speak faith, it becomes natural. Fear may knock, but it will not stay. Anxiety may whisper, but it will not root. You begin to carry peace, not only within yourself, but in the air around you. People who enter your space will feel it. They will sense the calm, the warmth, the stillness. That is what happens when faith fills the atmosphere. It creates an invisible sanctuary, a shield of serenity that extends beyond you, touching everything near. The simple act of speaking words of faith becomes the key to transforming fear into peace, doubt into confidence, and darkness into light. Before you close your eyes at night, there is a sacred opportunity to release everything that weighs on your heart. The world around you slows down and silence begins to settle in. It is in that stillness that you are invited to let go. Forgiveness and gratitude are not small gestures. They are spiritual forces that unlock peace and transform the atmosphere around you. When you choose to forgive before you sleep, you remove the heaviness that tries to follow you into your dreams. When you express gratitude, you open your heart to receive divine calm that no worry can disturb. The air changes when you do this. It becomes lighter, purer, and full of rest. Forgiveness is not about excusing what others have done. It is about freeing yourself from the chains of anger and pain. The longer you hold on to bitterness, the heavier your atmosphere becomes. Every thought of resentment darkens the air and steals your peace. But when you say, "I forgive them," you release the poison that was trying to settle in your soul. The moment you release it, your spirit exhales. You can almost feel the pressure lift from your chest. The atmosphere begins to shift because forgiveness always brings freedom. It purifies the emotional air and makes room for peace to enter. Sometimes forgiveness is not easy. The wound might still be fresh, the memory still sharp. Yet even when it hurts, speaking forgiveness begins the healing. You don't have to feel it completely for it to work. You only need to will it. The act of saying, "I choose to forgive," sends a vibration of release into the atmosphere. The energy around you responds because words of grace have creative power. What was once tense begins to soften. The more you practice it, the more your spirit learns that peace is stronger than pain, and forgiveness is stronger than the memory of the hurt. Gratitude works in the same way. It shifts the frequency of your heart and transforms your atmosphere. The moment you begin to thank the divine for what you have, your spirit changes posture. Gratitude turns your eyes away from what is missing and focuses them on what has been provided. It fills the air with warmth and invites more blessings to flow. When you whisper, "Thank you," even for small things, you draw goodness closer to you. The vibration of appreciation rises into the unseen, creating an atmosphere that attracts peace, joy, and divine favor. There is power in combining forgiveness and gratitude before sleep. Forgiveness clears the space, and gratitude fills it. Together, they create a spiritual equilibrium, a place where your mind can rest without anxiety. When you forgive, you make room for peace. When you give thanks, you invite that peace to stay. This simple nightly practice becomes a cleansing ritual for your soul. You are washing away the dust of the day and breathing in the purity of a renewed atmosphere. The air becomes charged with stillness, a peace that feels almost alive. The atmosphere of your home responds to what you carry in your heart. If your heart is filled with resentment, it creates tension even in the air you breathe. But if your heart is filled with gratitude, the air becomes gentle, light, and soothing. People may walk into your room and feel peace without understanding why. It's because your spirit has filled the space with forgiveness and thanksgiving. The invisible realm listens to what you release, and when your words are rooted in love, the response is always serenity. Forgiveness and gratitude also work together to heal the inner layers of your mind. The thoughts that used to replay painful memories begin to fade when you forgive. The emptiness that used to whisper lack is silenced when you give thanks. You begin to notice beauty where you once saw problems. You begin to rest where you once worried. The more you practice it, the more your inner atmosphere mirrors heaven's peace. Every night becomes an opportunity to re-center your spirit, to reset your heart, and to realign your energy with love and calm. There is something almost miraculous about how quickly the atmosphere changes after a prayer of forgiveness. The same space that felt heavy with emotion begins to glow with tranquility. Your mind grows quiet, your body relaxes, and your spirit feels refreshed. The tension in your chest dissolves, and a quiet warmth replaces it. The invisible energy around you begins to hum with peace. It is the divine responding to your release. It is the reflection of heaven meeting your willingness to let go. When gratitude flows from your heart, the spiritual air becomes magnetic. You begin to draw positive energy, divine favor, and protection into your surroundings. Your words of thanks carry light, and that light fills the darkness with hope. Gratitude tells the universe that you are ready for more, not because you lack, but because you appreciate. When you say, "Thank you for today," you are announcing to creation that you are aligned with peace. That alignment transforms your night. The stillness becomes sweeter, your dreams gentler, your rest deeper. Before you sleep, every word you speak has the potential to either build or break your peace. Forgiveness dismantles the walls of pain. Gratitude constructs the house of calm. The air around you becomes a mirror of what you carry inside. When forgiveness flows and gratitude rises, heaven's peace settles like a soft blanket over your soul. The room feels lighter, the silence feels sacred, and your spirit feels free. The combination of forgiving and giving thanks transforms not only your atmosphere, but your entire being, preparing you to rest in pure tranquility. The words you speak before sleep are not just closing statements to the day. They are the opening notes to your tomorrow. Each word carries a vibration that stretches into the unseen, setting in motion what will unfold when the sun rises again. When you pray and declare faith before sleep, you are not only creating peace for the night, you are planting seeds for breakthrough in the morning. The atmosphere you build in the darkness determines what will greet you in the light. What you speak in faith before your eyes close begins to shape the opportunities, clarity, and strength that will await you when you awaken. Every great shift begins in the unseen. The breakthroughs that appear in daylight are often born in the quiet moments of prayer at night. When you say, "I believe something good is on the way," you give your spirit permission to move beyond fear. That statement travels through your atmosphere, touching every part of your life that needs transformation. The walls of limitation begin to weaken. The locked doors of opportunity begin to move. The divine does not sleep, and while you rest, your words continue to work. They stir the air, rearrange the energy, and prepare the ground for what is to come. There is a special power in the stillness of the night. The world becomes quiet, distractions fade, and your words carry greater weight. When you pray with intention in that silence, your faith amplifies. You are speaking into an open sky, a clear spiritual atmosphere ready to receive. The things that seemed far away during the day feel closer at night because the noise has subsided. When you declare your trust and your vision before sleep, the unseen begins to organize itself to bring those words to life. What feels like rest to you is movement in the spiritual realm. Every prayer you speak before sleep has a destination. It travels beyond your walls into the invisible and begins to work its way back into your reality. Words of faith do not vanish. They circulate, searching for the right moment to manifest. They become invisible builders of your tomorrow. When you say, "Tomorrow will bring peace," you are not making a wish. You are writing a decree. The night carries the decree into the dawn, and when you wake, the atmosphere responds accordingly. The energy of peace you spoke will be waiting for you when you rise. Faith-filled words also prepare your mind for the next day. When you end your night in gratitude and confidence, you train your subconscious to think in alignment with possibility. Your dreams reflect your faith, and your rest becomes productive. The thoughts that circulate while you sleep begin to form solutions, ideas, and inspiration. Many awaken with sudden clarity, not realizing that their spirit was working on what their prayer had begun. The atmosphere you create through prayer becomes a cocoon of peace and creativity that surrounds your sleep. The night is when your body is still, but your faith is active. It is when you hand your future over to the divine, trusting that your words have already been heard. You may not see movement, but things are shifting. Your spirit is negotiating blessings on your behalf. Your faith is opening unseen doors, and your prayer is calling forth alignment. What seemed impossible during the day begins to soften in the silence of the night. Every thank you, every believe, and every "I trust" becomes a thread weaving your destiny together in the dark. When you pray before sleep, you are declaring authority over tomorrow. You are choosing not to let the worries of today dictate what comes next. You are saying, "I release control and embrace faith." That release opens spiritual space for breakthroughs to arrive. The divine moves best in atmospheres of trust. The more you let go, the more the unseen begins to align. Your simple words of faith become commands to the future, rearranging things in your favor. The next day begins to respond to the sound of your voice spoken the night before. There is also protection in this practice. When you pray before sleeping, your faith becomes a shield around you. It guards not only your body, but also your dreams, your home, and your spirit. The air around you becomes fortified with peace, making it impossible for fear to find a place to settle. Even while you rest, your prayer remains active. It hovers like light, watching over you, keeping the atmosphere pure. That protective peace stays with you when you wake, wrapping you in calm before you even open your eyes. The spiritual world moves in rhythm with your declarations. When you speak faith, heaven harmonizes with your words. When you pray for change, creation begins to cooperate. What you call forth in the night begins to manifest in your path. The world may not recognize it, but you will feel it. The conversations that shift, the opportunities that open, the coincidences that align, these are not accidents. They are responses to your faith spoken in the stillness of night. The unseen honors the authority of your prayer. When you make it a habit to speak with faith before sleep, your nights become more than rest. They become seasons of creation. You begin to wake not only refreshed, but aligned. The atmosphere greets you already charged with peace and possibility. The day feels lighter, your heart feels stronger, and your path feels guided. The secret is simple yet powerful. What you release before you sleep shapes what rises to meet you in the morning. Your words plant tomorrow's peace. Your prayer builds tomorrow's strength, and your faith breathes life into the coming dawn.